Hey y'all, welcome to Fitting and Homemaking. My name is Sarah. Welcome if you're new here. If you're not, welcome back. Thank you. If this is more than the second or third video of mine that you're watching, would love it if you'd subscribe and hit that notification bell if you haven't already. I know lots of folks are not subscribed and I am trying to grow the channel. Enough of that nonsense though. So we are cleaning my kid's room again, right? You guys are very familiar with this room. And just like before, part of the reason why we're cleaning it again is because one of my kids was sick again. This is the life of having kids in daycare, and we had a winter break, and then everyone came back from winter break. So inevitably, your kids are going to get sick after winter break because all the other kids have been traveling. So yeah, unfortunately, my son came down with RSV over last weekend, so he was home most of this week. But luckily, little kids are quite resilient, and he is feeling much, much better now and like his normal, cheerful, playful self. So it's time to go through and get rid of the yuck in their room. So my son and daughter, if you're new here, I have a son. He's about 2.5 years old, and I have a daughter who is about 4.5 years old. And they share a room. My daughter has the top bunk, and my son has the bottom bunk. But yeah, RSV involves lots of coughing and runny noses, and there was some puke action that happened too, which was amazing. So it's time to clean this, and you'll notice that I am just cleaning with a wet wipe. And that's because I looked up to see how long RSV actually stays alive on surfaces, and we are past the point where that should be an issue. So I am just wiping down things. One, to dust. Two, because when you cough and sneeze and jettison other things from your body in general, while the virus may die, that nastiness is still on stuff. So yeah, I'm just getting wet wipes and wiping it down. Also because I was feeling pretty, not under the weather, but just tired. I was feeling pretty worn out at this point. This is the first day that I wasn't watching my son this week, his first day back to daycare. And something you don't normally see me do that I am doing here is I am surface cleaning all of the stuffies in the room. Normally I clean their loveys, which are machine washable, and I just put them in a delicates bag and tell the kids they're going for their spa day, and they go in the wash machine, and then the dryer, I almost said drying machine. Why don't we call it a drying machine? Why do we call it a washing machine, but not a drying machine? Riddle me that. English is weird. Anyhow, yeah, usually you don't see me surface cleaning their toys, but he was loving up on these, and my daughter has a dust allergy, and so I'm going to do her stuffies as well. She somehow seems to have avoided getting sick, and my husband and I also seem to have avoided getting sick, even though we had a small child sneezing and coughing directly into our faces. So yeah, maybe I'm being optimistic, and maybe the incubation period is a little bit longer than I'm anticipating. I don't know. I feel like we're doing okay. My daughter does have a little bit of like a sniffle and a cough though, so we've been watching her pretty closely. But she also seems to like not have the high fever that my son had and all those sorts of things. She doesn't seem to have the other symptoms that he had, like loss of appetite, all of the fun things. But yeah, so I am kind of just going through and using a bajillion wipes in this. I'm so sorry, environment, but I was really just worn out at this point and just wanted to get it done. So we were cleaning all the stuffies. This is his teddy. He actually got this from a police officer at their daycare. They have a lot of either field trips or bringing people in. And one time they brought the cops in so that they could meet the kids, and so that the kids could get to know some of the local cops a little bit and, see them, recognize them, not feel afraid to ask them for help if they were in need, these sorts of things, learn about calling 911, and how to get help. But all of the police officers brought every single kid in that daycare a stuffy, like a little teddy bear. So my daughter also has a teddy bear from the police. But my son just, for some reason, got very attached to this teddy bear. So that's his comfort stuffy of choice, I guess. And a lot of times I'll just go ahead and I will wait until the laundry's done and put the same sheets back on the bed after they're washed. But I didn't have time for that this day. This was my first day back to work, like I said. I had kind of a weird work week anyway. Monday was my departmental retreat that we have once a year. So my husband actually stayed home with my son that day because he had gotten sick over the weekend. So my husband watched my husband. My husband watched my son on Monday. Maybe they watched each other. I don't know. I don't know what happens when I'm not here. Anyhow, they were at home together Monday while I was at work, like not in the office, but off-site. And then I spent Tuesday and Wednesday at home. And on Wednesday, he was pretty much to his old self again after, having high fevers earlier in the week and like Sunday night and that sort of thing. So this is Thursday when I filmed this. He was back at daycare this day. But like I said, I'd also been coughed and sneezed on repeatedly, and I was feeling pretty tired and worn down. So I didn't know if I was getting sick or if I was just, tired from taking care of a very demanding 2-year-old. So I figured my office mates would appreciate it if I just worked from home this day. So I'm doing this on my lunch break, per usual for most of these videos. It is sped up 2 times. I can't remember if I said that or not, but that's more so that you guys, it stays a little bit more interesting for you guys, and I don't have to do 45 minutes of voiceover. So it's for both of us, I guess. And I just totally lost my train of thought. Oh, yeah, I figured my office mates would, since I wasn't certain if I was getting sick or if I was just tired, they would probably appreciate me not possibly carrying RSV into the office this day. So I just stayed home and worked and did this on my lunch break since it needed to be done. So that seemed what was going to be best for everyone, and it, of course, allowed me the time to get this room cleared out. Trying to remember if there's anything else interesting going on here. Maybe for my son's birthday, we can get him. These are some hand-me-down sheets from some neighbors they've since moved away, but they were cleaning out their stuff, and they say, hey, we don't use these sheets anymore. Do you guys want these sheets? We know you just got the bunk beds. We said, yeah, sure. That means that we don't have to buy sheets. If you see the sheets on my daughter's bed on the top bunk, we bought those as part of her birthday. She wanted bunk beds, like a big girl bed for her birthday when she turned 4. Yes. Yeah, we haven't had these that long. So the sheet set was also like part of like the big bunk bed, big girl bed present situation for her. So maybe for my son's birthday in June, we'll get him a sheet set that is of his liking. So my daughter also chose, you'll see the comforter later on, but it's like she didn't choose it, but according to her taste, we got her a rainbow heart unicorn kind of comforter situation, and that was just one of the sheet sets that came with it. But my son right now is really into monster trucks and Spider-Man. Those are his main things he gets super duper excited about right now. So maybe we'll get him a new sheet set because the sheets are getting pretty worn. I know one set has kind of a little hole in the side, which doesn't really matter. I mean, they're going to get ruined anyway, probably eventually. But it's nice for him to have, his own thing to get excited about. So maybe we'll get him some monster truck ones or some Spider-Man ones. I feel like he likes the monster trucks better than Spider-Man right now, but in June, who knows what he'll like? Maybe he'll be into something else by then. But yeah, just wiping all this down, and you did see me go ahead and put a humidifier in there and fill it up with water. Since it is winter and they do still have some lingering congestion going on, humidifier is generally a good idea. So we ran that last night for the first time, but I had to, get it out and clean it and stuff. And fill it up and, kind of make sure that they don't mess with it. And of course, this morning when my son got up, after I turned the humidifier off like 30 seconds before he did this, but he put his forehead right above the part where all the steam comes out, and he goes, "Ooh, that's warm." I'm like, "I know, buddy, please don't ever do that while it's on." He knows that steam means things are hot from, seeing food and that sort of thing. But he's also very curious. So it's like, please don't scald your face on this, because it is one that it's not a cool mist humidifier. It is one of the ones that gets hot. So yeah, normally when it's on, he's sleeping. So it's not a big deal. We just have to remember to turn it off first thing in the morning, I guess. Here I am just ferrying things back and forth that don't belong in here. I mean, the room never gets terribly, terribly untidy, because more for my sanity than anything else, but also so that they are functioning adults. We do ask that they clean up after themselves. If they're moving from one toy to another toy, or from one activity to another activity, we do try to encourage them, hey, let's clean this thing up that you're not doing anymore, so that you have more room to play with the other stuff, the new things that you want to play with, and that tends to make sense to them. And they still, for the most part, they are still willing to do that, as like, this is the last part of playing, is you clean it up so that you can play with something else and have a good time playing with something else. So we are trying to encourage that, and it goes decently well most of the time, as with any kids. Here I realized my husband had made the kids smoothies because, like I said, my son did not have much of an appetite while he was sick, so we were trying to figure out things that he would eat. He took like 2 sips of smoothie, but my daughter also had smoothie, and it was in an open cup, and she was sitting at a table and just missed the edge of the table sitting it down one time, so there was like a smoothie explosion, and I just found more smoothie on the table leg, I guess is what that's called. Yes, the table leg. Or leg. Sorry, I know I say leg weird. And here we go with the bigger pile of stuffies. This was actually one I forgot to do. That was my son's earlier. My mother-in-law made this for him. It's Blaze from Blaze and the Monster Machines. My son screams like a Beatles fangirl during the opening credits of that show when we let him watch it. And we try not to let him watch too much TV because, he's still pretty young. He's only 2.5. But that's his favorite show ever. Specifically the Mystery Bandit episode of that show. But yeah, my mother-in-law made that for him for Christmas, and they play with it a lot, so I had some dog hair on it. But this is just me wiping off all of my daughter's stuffies that she plays with. And I realized at some point when I was doing this, I was like, oh, this is, like wiping under their tails and stuff. I feel like this is a little bit more of a personal thing to do than anticipated. So, but I was really just trying to make sure they all got wiped off, and because I haven't really done that anytime recently. And like I said, she is allergic to dust, so that's not great to be sleeping with a bunch of stuffies that have not been cleaned in a while. Forgot what I pulled off that way. I think it was just a string. Oh no, it wasn't a string. It was like a rubber hairband that my daughter had put around his foot, like an anklet. And I was just confused as to what it was until I pulled it off. Excuse me, Elsa. Sorry. There we go. Skirt back down. But yeah, my daughter, if you can tell, is into Elsa, is into unicorns, and is into mermaids. This is one mermaid that we got her after going to the beach one time. And then she chose, this one's like a Build-A-Bear knockoff mermaid. My son has a dinosaur that's the same like this. They made these at Daycare as like a little extra project. But yeah, sorry the voiceover isn't terribly interesting. Literally, my week has been taking care of my son while sick, and then trying to catch up on work stuff and doing kind of like strategic planning work stuff. And this big lady is purpley. This was the Christmas gift that my husband and I gave to my daughter. It actually wasn't that expensive. I think it was like $20 or something, but she loves it. She asked for a unicorn for Christmas as if she needed more unicorns. And we saw this and thought, okay, that's perfect. Actually, our son saw it and was like, let's get that for her, for his sister. So we're like, yeah, buddy, that's a real good idea. So she named the unicorn Purpley. So we are making sure Purpley gets a good wash there. I gotta pick up all the wipes I used. Oh look, the comforter is clean. So Purpley has to go underneath, and I think later on you see me kind of looking around in confusion for Purpley because I forget where I've put her. I'm just like, where on earth did I put her? And I'm like looking around the room and not seeing her, thinking, how do you lose something that big in such a, I mean, the space isn't that large. How do I lose something that big in it? There was a dryer ball that got stuck in there. But yeah, so this is the comforter that I was talking about earlier. It's reversible. The other side has more of like the heart. It's like purple with sparkles and hearts on the reverse side. Not that you guys can see it. You'll get to see it a little bit later on, I think. But I'm completely tucking this in because for some reason my daughter prefers to sleep on top of the comforter. And then the little polar bear, like buffalo plaid polar bear on white background blanket that I threw on my son's bed underneath there, that's what she's been using as a blanket. She gets really hot at night, which, girl, that's only going to continue. It's only going to get worse. I feel so bad. I'm so sorry. You probably got that from me. But this is the blanket that she likes to cover up with. So put that on the top. Also, I just saw Purpley again when I went to pick up that blanket. So why am I confused as to where she is? I don't know, guys. Out of sight, out of mind, I guess. That's me looking around like, well, what did I do with her? Gracious. Then here's my son's blanket. I'm like, no, you got to check which way it goes first because one side is just slightly longer than the other. But I was really happy to be able to get this knocked out fairly quickly this day. Unlike my normal, like I would have done a ton of laundry, I had a lot of meetings in the afternoon this day and I didn't have time to do loads and loads of laundry. So I literally just did their sheets this day. And of course, it's not a clean if I don't vacuum. Again, did not mop. I have wiped up, I think, every inch of this floor with a wet wipe in the past few days for various reasons. We'll just leave it at that, for various reasons. So I didn't feel like it really terribly needed to be mopped, and honestly, I just don't think about it, and at this stage, I'm getting really either tired of doing it or know that I'm up against kind of the end of the time that I have available to accomplish these tasks. And Max is just standing there on the rug with the loud vacuum cleaner. And he's just like, oh, yeah. And I think when I turn around, I have to like shoo him off the rug. I'm like, dude, like, please go. Forget what I was even listening to. I think I was trying to catch up on some YouTube stuff because I tend to watch that stuff like either at night or I'll listen to it if I'm doing some mindless work task or whatnot. But since I'd been taking care of my son the past few days, I hadn't seen any of it. And we also we had a really busy weekend the weekend before this. I think I mentioned it in my garden cleanup video that was just before this one, that I had like a full day watching the kids and my parents were coming over and it was a busy day. We had gone to the kids museum in the morning and the weather ended up holding out, so we went to a playground in the afternoon, and we had to go to McDonald's for lunch and go to not only a McDonald's but a McDonald's with a play place. We kind of like drove out of the way to go there, so it was just a busy day. And then the next day was the day of the 2 birthday parties. So, And then, of course, as we were like getting home from the second birthday party, I was feeling my son's forehead and be like, ooh, thought he was just running a little warm at the party because he was wearing a sweatshirt and just running around like a chicken with its head cut off because he was so excited by like someone else's toys to be playing with. And I thought, oh gosh, like I really hope we didn't get anyone else sick. But it was a lot of other people from his class, and like the sickness has gone through like the entirety of his class at this point. So I think that was maybe inevitable because, RSV is pretty darn contagious. So hopefully they will be a little bit, or their immune systems will be a little bit better equipped next time. Here I just have to put all of her stuffies back up. Oh, and I forgot to take out, that's Giselle and Zachary, their little stuffies that were at the spa day in the washing machine and the dryer. Sorry guys, that's kind of a sucky view. You can't really see what I'm doing. I'm just stacking up her stuffies though, not super interesting. After this, you are going to get to see the final results. Like I said, the room wasn't terribly untidy before. It was more of a cleaning because there had been sickness in the room and I wanted it to be nice and fresh. So if you made it this far, thank you. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like, please subscribe, please comment down below. Hopefully you are not dealing with winter sicknesses like we are in our house. Hopefully we're past that now. And I hope you have a very lovely day. I will see you the next time. Bye.